Okay, and it's about call 811 before you dig. Is there anybody here to speak?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and speak.
There you go. It's all on you.
Alright, I'm gonna read from my notes here, so.
Okay.
Sit right here.
Okay. Ohio 811, is a communication link between utility companies, the utility locate companies, and, excavators and homeowners. We've been in existence for, about 50 years, and, again, it's call before you dig, underground utility protection. So it's a public safety side, right? Notifying 811 is a free service to the public. You can do it one of a couple of ways. You can either call directly in and to do a dig request, like if you're gonna be digging in your yard. Anytime you penetrate the earth, you should call 811.
You're saying for any depth?
Any depth. Anytime you penetrate the earth. You may have noticed, or if you've ever done any digging, sometimes the cable TV lines or even the phone drops to the home are very shallow, as is sometimes the secondary electric and gas. They're supposed to be a certain depth, but sometimes they're 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 inches, and then all of a sudden you hit that and creates a situation. But there's also iDig for professional excavators that they can use electronically, and then eDig for the homeowner, which makes it pretty quick and simple.
Do you guys come out and mark?
We do not. So the utility companies generally hire like a third party.
Like Oops?
Well, like USIC. You ever seen a USIC truck?
Yes.
A benchmark vehicle?
Mm-hmm.
Those are third party utility locate companies that come out, benchmark marks for Enbridge.
Okay.
And then USIC marks generally for First Energy, Time Warner, AT&T.
Okay.
And there's a few others running around, Stake Center, Northern Lights, that take up some of the other companies. So again, it makes it real simple. The iDig and the eDig is real simple. It's quick. It's easy for the folks. We are funded through membership. We have about 1,750 members, stakeholders, and that's how the Ohio 811 is funded. We accumulate about 1.5 million dig requests a year. That translates into about 8 to 10 million notifications. If my math is way off, Mr. Hennis, you let me know.
You guys in all 50 states?
Well, so the 811 is, so that's why they chose the 811 number. So you can call 811 in Ohio, Indiana, California, Arizona, and it'll get you to the one call center.
Okay.
So that's why they wanted to use the 811 number. But so that 1.5 million calls turns into about 8 to 10 million notifications. So each ticket might have, 2 to 3 to 4, sometimes 7 or 8 notifications depending on who's in the area. So it's a system, and then those folks receive that notification, hey, there's gonna be digging in your area. I'm sure the city of Struthers is involved in that, and your folks who work for the city receive those notifications when somebody's gonna be digging in the area. Any questions so far?
Not so far.
Okay. So again, the importance of it, we talk about, we're dependent on the electricity, the gas, the water, the sewer. It's just important that we call so that stuff doesn't happen. The gas and the electric is extremely important because those utilities can cause generally more often catastrophic.
Well, now let's say a company digs and they did not call and they disturb a gas line. Are they then charged for that?
They can be. Yep, so if they didn't follow the law, there's a thing called the UTC, which is the Underground Technical Committee, which is a part of the PUCO, Public Utility Commission of Ohio. They're the ones who hear all those cases, and they'll determine a fine. So if somebody doesn't follow the law, they can fine them based upon the egregiousness of it.
Sure.
Generally, most of the times.
So you hit fiber optic, you're probably in trouble.
Fiber optic lines can be expensive, but they're not as expensive as they used to be.
Okay.
So there's a thing called a lead line, pulp line. Those are far more expensive.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. But
what does that carry?
What's that?
What does that carry?
Communication.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, in regards to that, so he's talking about the pulp. The reason why it's more expensive because it's a lot harder to repair because there's no actual coating on it. So when you hit a 200 pair, then they have to send signals individually down every 200 and try to receive it on the other end to bring it back together.
Okay.
Again, that's why it's very important. With him stating it's come down in cost as far as hitting the fiber, yes. But again, at the end of the day, whoever hit it is still going home to the family.
Yes.
So when he says the gas, the electric, now that could be that seriousness of somebody not seeing their family at the end of the night.
Sure.
You know, a gas explosion, electrical stuff, so.
If you ever hit a gas line, you know right away.
Right.
I mean, how much pressure
Well,
comes out of there.
Well,
It depends.
right.
Mhm.
Stating what Johnny stated, you know, the city of Struthers is a member of our organization. We actually are two types. Your sewer plant, or the sewer, is a member, then you also have electrical. So that's handled by a different department in there, so again, with that being said, every utility that in the state of Ohio is required by law to be a member of a protection service. We are that protection service. So anybody who owns and operates a underground utility facility in the state, they're required to be a member of a protection service. As of right now, we're the only protection service that is operating in the state of Ohio. To what Johnny stated, we are a not-for-profit organization. So again, we're funded by our membership. So again, at the end of the day, our executive director goes to our board of trustees and requests, okay, this much money is how much it's gonna cost us to run the center for the next year. So the board will look over that budget, approve it, then we're in the confines of running our operations within that budget. We are local, I mean, since 1972, we've been in the Mahoning area. Okay, we were founded in downtown Youngstown, I guess in one of the Bell basements. So then we purchased a piece of property up off of Belmont Avenue. Since then, we have been blessed by our membership to build a new facility, which is outside in North Jackson at Mahoning and Bailey Road. So that's where we're located, that's where the call center is, that's where most of the employees are basically locals in this area, you know, so with that being said, pretty much as what Johnny stated, is there any questions going forward?
It is important to know, because you were asking the question, so Ohio Utility Protection Service actually does not do the locating.
Right.
Okay.
So they actually receive the notifications, and then they distribute those notifications to the member utility companies.
Okay.
And then those utility companies distribute that to their third-party locate service or to their in-house.
In-house, so
What's
you
the-
guys do it in-house.
What's the time frame after you call that somebody will come out and,
The law is right now 48 hours. So they have, and that's like if I called at 10 o'clock today, today's Wednesday, right?
Right,
So
right.
that ticket would be due 10 o'clock AM Friday.
Right.
Yeah. The law is changing soon. We're gonna be, we hope, it's going through the legislation. It's called what we call a true 48. So the day that you call will not count. It's the next day, so at midnight. So if I called at 10 o'clock today, the clock would start working at midnight tonight, so 12. And then it wouldn't be due till 12 o'clock midnight Friday.
so they shouldn't dig until after they get your response?
That's correct.
My other question is this, what if it's homeowners? Do they pay at that point? If they have to call and locate things, say before they?
No, it's a free service.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a free service. I use that word loosely, free, but it's not free, but it is free to the homeowner or to excavators.
Right, so
It does, there is a cost attached to it. It's just not passed on to the excavators or the homeowners.
Okay.
So if somebody's doing their leaky basement, if they gotta dig around their house, they should call you?
Absolutely.
Okay,
That's very, very important.
Yeah.
Because of the gas line
Right.
and the secondary electric running in, that could cause a problem, especially, if that gas starts leaking back into the house.
okay.
So as far as, when you're talking about what's required to be located, okay, so as a facility owner, as you guys being a facility owner, you're required to mark what you own and operate. So who basically determines that? That's you guys, so, most of our member companies will mark up to the meter. Okay, so the gas, Enbridge will mark up to the meter set. So if that meter's on the side of your house, from the main to the house, it should be located. Our First Energies and stuff like that, the major electrical companies, they'll mark up to the meter set. So if it's actually a buried facility or buried secondary, they'll mark up to that meter set. But anything on the back side of that meter set, they deem is homeowner responsibility or property owned. Just like you guys, I don't know if you locate your second or your laterals for sewers or not, I don't know for sure, but most of the time, those laterals are deemed property owned. Water departments, Aqua Ohio, they'll probably only mark up to the shut-off valve, then from the shut-off valve going into the house.
Yeah, from the curb box, they'll
Right,
stop at.
right, is property owned. There are some municipalities that own their own electrical, departments, and they feed electric to their, residents. Now, that's a different story, they deem that secondary going to the house is property owned, no matter what.
We don't have a lot of that here. You're talking about more in newer developments where they have the box in the ground, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that we have any of that
Right.
here, most of
Pretty
ours
much
are,
aerial.
yeah.
Right, so, on that point, you know, again, anything on the other side or on the private side, a person would have to find it themselves or hire some company to come out and locate it for them. So if a contractor wants to find those private facilities, then they could try to do it themselves or hire a third-party locating service to come out and do that for them. But again, generally, our member companies do not locate that private side. So again, if you're in a piece of property, let's say you have the house that may be an outbuilding, and you ran a electric line from that house out to that building, there's electric out there. If it's buried, it wouldn't be located by the electrical company because it's property owned. Like if you got a well, if you got a septic system, that stuff is private. Then you get into the other stuff, your invisible fence, lighting around your house for your beds, flower beds, lighting and stuff like that. That's all considered private stuff, okay? And we would not have that information on our end, and that would be the homeowner themselves that would have to figure out where that stuff is. And any contractor working for that homeowner at that point, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, so really the purpose of why we wanted to come together, we contacted Mayor and Councilwoman Goman here, is we wanted to come alongside you, and if you guys had some kind of event that you were gonna be doing some digging, whether it's planting flowers, cleaning up flower beds, or maybe your signs into Struthers, we wanted to come alongside you and promote that, and we would probably have some people sponsor you some of that, you know, give you some assistance to help with that. But also, we just want to be able to promote the Ohio to promote that and help you with that on August the 11th, which is 8/11. So that way we can promote that. But we'd be honored if you guys would want to do that.
So this actually started with Lori. Lori saw that you guys did a project, I think, in Hubbard, and brought it to the table here and said, hey, can we look into this? And we like doing anything like this. The only problem is we're getting new signage, and we have cleanup day on the 31st, on May 31st, which is too early. So that's why we've asked Jan Hockenauer here from the Guerrilla Gardeners.
All right.
We've been placing a lot of emphasis on one of our parks, Nebo, and there is a flagpole there and a rock that we wanted to add to it and turn it into something beautiful. I brought some drawings that Jan, I'll let you introduce yourself, but you'll see these up all over my office. Jan's been heading a lot of the projects in the city. With the rain, this is the rain garden next door. This is going to be blooming soon. There's different projects and different things that she's been bringing to the table. So we're kind of going to throw that on her too, to design us something beautiful and make that and do that on 8/11, since that's closer to August. I'll let you go ahead.
I'm Jane Kokenauer. I live in the 2nd Ward up on Walnut Street between the fire department and the back entrance to the high school. I don't know we're guerrilla gardeners. How it got started, just kind of giving you a background, is my husband technically is the original gorilla. He would just see somebody's property or an abandoned property, and not here in Struthers, this was in Kennesaw where we lived in near Atlanta. He would see an abandoned property and he'd just go mow it, weed eat it, edge the sidewalk, because he called it an attractive nuisance. I think that's a term that you guys might possibly use too. It invites problems. So he would just go mow it, and I would always just tag along and help. Well, it expanded that way down there where when we moved here 8 years ago, it started here, where we'd see somebody, they needed help mowing, maybe they were an older person or just didn't like to be outside, we'd go mow the property and say, here, it's done, don't worry about it. So it's expanded now to the city, the guerrilla gardeners. We have a small group of people who are willing to do anything you guys want as far as gardening and kind of lawn care, maintenance, that type of thing.
They've been causing some chaos throughout the city too. I'll get a phone call and I'll say, hey, I'm painting the mural that's by the fire station that's on the wall about stormwater. She just went and started painting. It's beautiful. So I know whatever she does and whatever she puts her hands on always turns out to be something beautiful. And then the sign downtown, they've been taking care of that sign downtown with all the pumpkins and all the planting and everything there. So we're not going to have that sign anymore, but they've really kind of just been going and doing and saying, hey, look what we did. Or spending 15 minutes weeding or 20 minutes here. The project in front of City Hall is also one of theirs. That's going to be planted soon. So they've really been taking over a lot of the artistic part.
We're willing to do anything you guys ask in that way. However we can help as far as renderings are concerned, if you need a visual aid. I just doodle with watercoloring in the evenings.
Well, you have a what's your degree thing called?
I have an a design degree. It's an interior design landscape degree, and then a business degree on top of that. I never worked as a designer. I was a customs broker for the U.S. government for 30 years. Anyway, but it's there, that design degree. I always say, no matter what you get a degree in, they can never take it away from you. It's always there. And I've used it for a lot of things, and I can use it for the benefit of Struthers. I always tell Kat, Struthers gave me a safe childhood and a sound education. What can I give back to you now?
So you originally from this area?
Oh yeah, I was raised right there on the corner of Sexton and Walnut.
Okay.
Yeah.
She used
so,
to cause
yeah.
trouble. They called her Coke.
Yeah.
They called Coke for Coke an hour.
Sometimes some of the older guys may remember I was kind of notorious for painting things as a high schooler.
And we're putting her to good use. She just painted a huge softball on the girls' home side dugout, and she's expanding on that too. So we're trying to make it good graffiti.
That's it.
Yeah, it was interesting, the graffiti back then. But yeah, anything you guys want, I know, and I speak for my husband too as well, but the Guerrilla Gardeners, we're just a small group. We did just have a nice big sale down at Lowville. I don't know if you had heard about that. We made a big profit, almost $600, which is nice, and that money will be used for city projects. We'll just turn that's all we're making that money for, is to turn it back around and use it here for plants wherever you guys want or wherever we see a need.
And we have a meeting at Mothy once a month, and
Yes.
usually it's a
Usually the fourth Tuesday of every month we meet at Mothy. We either have a lecture, it's usually just one of us that puts stuff together. We're doing a hanging basket this month. We're going to do in August, we're doing a meal kind of called Dining on Dahlias. We're going to take all the odd and weird things that people never think about eating, and we're gonna make recipes out of them and hope that we don't poison ourselves.
And then we also have a project in July. We're actually going to be taking the senior van, and like we did with American Bloom with the door hangers, we're going to literally drive around for 2-3 hours and go hang some door hangers on the door saying, your yard looks great, keep it up, from the Guerrilla Gardener. So we're going to do that. It's kind of like a field trip with everybody, but we're going to do that in July too.
And then America in Bloom, of course, is going to be there, and you guys, there'll be a luncheon at the house. Please come by. It's a little tiny house, but we squeeze a lot of
Yeah, we
people
do.
in there. There at Christmas, I think we had 35 in that house, but it was fun, and the gardens will be open, of course, that day.
Yeah.
We do 3 yards there at the house. Both neighbors on both sides, we take care of their properties and kind of have taken over planting their yards out, so there's quite a few gardens there,
But we
So,
kinda wanted to use this with this. This is a good time to introduce her to
Yeah,
everybody,
we
and
can-
so you guys know, can put a face with a name.
I'll go out and get a couple photographs of where the flagpole is and come up with some ideas. You guys, I also always wanna stress, if you hate what I designed, just put a big black X on it, send it back, and I'll try again. I take criticism fairly well from most people. But yeah, if there's something that you don't like, or if there's something that you say, oh, that won't work for, a municipality, just tell me. I'll change and go again, but I do try and do my research and try and, like when I did the rain garden, I read several books on rain gardens so that it would function correctly.
And we talked to the neighbors there.
Can we incorporate the Nebo sign?
That's gonna be, oh yeah, I guess we could put that over there, cause we're not gonna be using that on on Center Street. Yeah, we can absolutely move that, the red Nebo sign, and move it over there.
By
The
the
one that's
flagpole?
on Klingon and
Yeah,
it's gonna go over there.
We can,
Okay.
yeah.
I mean, I don't know where else to put it,
No, it would be good there, cause it's
Yeah.
called Nebo. Yeah.
right,
But I talked to the neighbors there, I sat with the Pittmans, Camax, and Mike, who owns the house, so they're excited about everything coming, they're excited about this project too,
Good.
cause they said, it's just there. I'm like,
Yeah,
I know, well,
yeah.
we're gonna spruce that up, we're gonna have a lot more people coming in and out of that park, between the dog park and everything that we have going on, so.
no, not much has happened there for a long, long time.
That was all part of the comprehensive plan too, was developing those parks and being able to use that.
Any more questions?
Well, just quickly, I want to fill you guys in, okay, so, yes, I am with Ohio 811, or Ohio Utilities Protection Service. I work for them as a liaison for the center. Basically, the back story is, we have a Eastern Ohio Damage Prevention Council, okay, which is held every 4th Tuesday of the month at our fourth Thursday of the month at our office. So the Damage Prevention Councils, there are 6 of them throughout the state, okay? So the project that you saw up in Hubbard was a project that was put on by our Eastern Ohio Damage Prevention Council. So we try to do a event every April to promote the message of call before you dig, okay? Right before dig season, get the message out, get a bunch of, news and all those people to
Media, print,
people
and television.
out to promote the message too, and luckily Mayor Ben up there had some good connections, and he got, basically it must have been a slow news day because all 3 of the local news actually aired it on 6 o'clock, so it was a great broadcast there. That was a couple of years ago. Then we teamed up with the city of Youngstown, and I forget what park we did, but they had a building in this park. So we, weeded everything, put new plants and stuff around the building. They used to have an old stone walkway that was overgrown. So we took, shovels and cleaned off that walkway from the building and the pavilion all the way out to the road. So, it's whatever the city wanted, we helped them out with. And here, that's what we're trying to do. These damage prevention councils are underwritten and funded by Ohio 811. They get a budget to work, hold these meetings and do these projects and all this by Ohio 811. So again, there is money in the budget to do a project this year. And like Johnny stated, yes, we don't have that much money, but we can reach out to the members of the Damage Prevention Council and ask for donations or something like that. Again, Northern Ohio DPC, which meets up in the Independence area, we teamed up with Tri-C. So this past year, we built a couple raised flower beds, And what they're doing is gonna have a cutting garden. So all types of flowers where somebody can come in and do, you know, bouquets or whatever, cut the flowers once they start blooming. So Independence, City of Independence, since they're so willing to let us hold our meetings there, 2 years ago, we did a welcome sign into their complex of their, you know, beautified all that too, which the city designer designed it all. We went to their local nursery at that and bought all the plants for that, then we showed up and planted all that stuff for them at that point. But their department basically had it already beautified, you know, started it, you know, that week before. All we went in and actually planted the plants, which was good for us because it was a rainy day, miserable. So we're here to, you know, help you guys beautify something, whatever it is, we're here to help. We will have our manpower, so we get probably about 15 to 20 people, depending on the availability, to come out and help with that daily project. You know, that's what we're looking for, something that will only take about a day to complete, and, you know, we're here to help you with the cost too, alright?
That's always good.
Yeah, I like that the most.
Right, so, and what I've seen, I mean, if that is something the council would like us to do, and again, it's up to you guys what you wanna pick.
Yeah, and that's
So-
not, that doesn't have to be the project, we were just thinking of something, cause we have cleanup day coming up, so we're gonna be addressing all of the city signs, we were just thinking of something we can add to that, but if council has any other suggestions or ideas, we're open to anything. We were just trying to add
Mm-hmm.
some glam
I think
to
the city
the.
signs is I mean, if you're on city signs, just stay on them and, you know what I mean?
No, the city signs are getting done on the 31st. This would be the park, this would be the Nebo.
The sign though, correct?
Well, we would actually just move the Nebo sign to.
They're gonna move the old sign.
The old sign,
Yeah.
to the park, the red sign.
How big is this, area that you wanna cover? Like,
I mean, we can make it as big as she designs it, really.
okay, I mean, cause they're gonna, seems like I mean, I know it's not a huge project, but you'll have enough men or enough people to kinda help out, I'm sure some of us will be there,
Yep.
right, Jimmy?
Yeah.
You know it.
Would this be an all-day thing, like, would you start early, what?
Usually we try to start around 9 o'clock and go until it's completed again. Half a day, you know, project, but it could, when our Central Ohio does a project, the one I went down to that, it was all day, it was 8 hours. But we built 4 or 5 beds with 4 or 5 raised beds in front of this school for to teach the kids about the importance of, you know, gardening and stuff like that. So that's what we did there, but I mean, it was from scratch. Then we, you know, again, they had a flagpole, which we pretty much put a retaining wall around it and put some flowers and stuff like that, but it was an all-day event. But we had, not only, I bet you they had 30 to 35 people there helping out, so. Couple saws going all day, people building beds, benches and all
So
that, so.
you can probably put a lot in your little
But
sign there.
again, there was a lot of donations
Okay.
to that. I think all the lumber was donated by, you know, the $500, $600, $700 of lumber was donated by a construction company. The mulch came from a landscape company. The dirt, same thing, was brought in. So all that material was donated. Now again, this Eastern Ohio DPC, I mean, we don't have that traction that much, you know, like those bigger cities do. So we're here to help it and whatever, and I'm sure, again, some of our members that are attending will throw some money towards it. So, we just don't know how much, you know.
Yeah, so I think if we came to a consensus as to what you wanted to do, we could get with you and plan on what was needed and, you know, get a list of what was needed, and we could find some people to donate and to help you supply with that.
If you look at the renderings, usually I include kind of a list of plants, things that I know that I can either pull out of my garden or at other people's
Here, I'll
gardens.
pass this down.
And
It's
then
all
usually
colored.
there's an email attached to it and giving you a proposed budget.
You can pass
So
it down.
is that
'Cause
whole
it has-
thing
it's-
is what you
it's
plan on doing?
numbered.
Or is
That,
that-
no, this is the rain garden.
So this is the
Forgive
aerial.
me, I don't
this
know
is
where
from
I'm at in the
street.
building.
Right here in the front
It's right
corner.
there. It's, that rendering that you guys are looking at is that garden
Oh.
sitting out there.
Okay.
It still has a lot of plants that need to go into it, but it's a work in progress, you know.
So how big were you looking at with the flagpole and?
I'm gonna be honest, she called me the other day, I don't even know where this thing's at, I'm gonna have to ask her for an address, I don't know where I'm going.
You guys wanna see this
What
thing?
is this?
You guys, I can't picture where Nebo Park is, I just, it's,
If you go up Center Street,
okay,
it's on the entrance to it's on the left-hand side about,
It's Haywood, the
yeah,
bottom end of
Haywood,
Haywood.
yeah, end of
Street.
Haywood. There's a empty, used to be a store there, empty store on the right-hand side, so,
I'll find it.
Just wish I
yeah.
could.
Yeah, I was just gonna go around
Nice.
and kind of search, but yeah, I'll go up and
Yeah,
look at it,
it's-
and
it's-
some pictures,
yeah,
and I'll
you-
get you a rendering put together and a
It's where the
proposed
dog
budget.
park is, there's signs for the dog park, so that's
Yeah,
where
I
the
haven't
dog
found
park
that
is.
one either.
So how big would you say, Bob, that it would, like something like?
Well, you have to make sure there's room for entrance and exit to get in and out of there.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you already, when that project in and of itself is completed, you're talking, and that is proposed for like years. I've
Yeah.
got that spaced out. There's gonna be several $1,000s involved in that. Now, remember, I'm pulling stuff, a lot of it's going to be given, I'm saying, from my garden
Sure.
and from other people's garden, but if you were to do it from a nursery, you're talking, that's a big garden project.
Yeah,
So, I don't know if you wanna go that large.
yeah, no, I'm sure we don't
That's
wanna go
large.
that large.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's more of just an entrance landscape deal, including with the flag and hopefully the sign and everything, so.
But anytime you want anything drawn, I mean, yes, you guys, if you wanna pay for a landscape architect,
Pretty good.
feel free, but I will do the work for you and hopefully save the city the cost of some
And we
some
have
fees
funds
on
too, with stormwater that we're able to use for the education and obviously for the rain garden, so we do have some budget money that we actually have to spend on education and things like that in the stormwater. So we are able to supplement here and there, just not a lot.
Well, you know, on top of the Ohio 811, we have people who are willing to go into the schools to help educate the kids. They have a couple of mascots, Sammy and Susie Shovel. Sammy is more designed for the excavator, Susie's for the homeowner and the kids, but both can come at the same time. But there's a curriculum set that the teachers can do at their own pace to share with the kids. So there's a lot of options there to help educate the kids about Ohio 811, which generally means they're gonna go home and educate mom and dad. So we're just trying to bring to attention the Ohio 811 and what it's about and why it's important.
And we forward that information to the superintendent
Good.
too. So I know, but it's end of the school year, everybody's
Right.
swamped.
Right.
So it's a Sammy and Susie, virtual field trip. So we'll give them the list and the teachers can just, spend an hour or two and just go through it real quick. But again, we do some, in-person training where we'll come to the school if that's what they want. But most of this in-class stuff is virtual. We'll just send the material to the teacher that wants it or requested it. They tell us how many students they have. We send out the amount of the books and stuff to do that. As far as us, we are teaming up with Jackson Milton, and we're going out there on June 4th. Now again, I was at the Northern Ohio Public Works show yesterday, and the meeting to go over the details of this event on June 4th. I had to jump off because I was just inundated with all the Public Works employees that joined that meeting. I was like, I would love to stay on here, but can I jump off?
Yeah.
It was like, they called a meeting at 8 o'clock and the show just opened at 8 and it was like, so. Is anybody, part of the Public Works Association here? Okay. Alright.
Any more questions? Okay, I need a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
Second.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you guys for
Meeting
coming.
adjourned.
Yes, thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Jim's
Okay,
hanging out with me.
sounds good. I'm gonna call for finance and legislation. Mr. Burnside?
Here,
Mr. Ballack?
Here.
Mr. Bigley is here. Got a bunch of stuff here. I'm just gonna start reading into some of it, okay? The first one, let's go into an ordinance amending the City of Struthers Codified Chapter 149 entitled Employment Provisions, Section 149.19, New Hire Provisions, which is entitled Part 1, Administrative Code, and repealing any section of any ordinance inconsistent herewith. Mayor, do you wanna speak on this one?
I talked with Megan about this, this is the one where it would go from the 90 days, or from the first year 90% to the 90 days that we talked about.
And then also,
And so it would be the codified, go ahead, it would be the codified, she taught me something new, it would go to, it would have to change
This
the
is the change in the
codified,
codified, so that way we could put
And
it
then
in
the
the
ordinance.
ordinances,
And everybody is good with that, correct?
but there's also a word that's in there. She wanted to know what council's intention was with the lateral, because we have a person that has been working here for many, many years, but they're going from one position going into a department head position, which is not considered lateral. So then he would be subject to the 90%.
Yes.
so
Yeah.
that's why
Yes.
we wanted to take that part out,
They were
that
talking
was,
about taking that part out.
because
90%?
Jason,
I
no,
if it's a,
the lateral, because
okay.
Jason Hall, he actually accepted a, cut in that salary, so going from 77,000 to
Yeah, but
72,000.
we just raised that salary up to for Frank.
Right, so that's gonna go, that is, we're looking to go down to 72, but the lateral, so he doesn't have to go back to the 90% of the
Yeah, but
contract, it would go to lateral.
The
Or
90,
we would just take the word
Lateral
lateral
I
out
think
of it.
the 90%'s only for 90 days.
right,
I think we can leave it. You guys?
For 90 days.
probationary.
90 days,
Probationary period.
yes, let him get acclimated to doing that portion of the job. We're not asking for a year anymore, 90 days, I don't think is a killer to anybody, you know?
But for one of our, somebody who's already been an employee,
But
An
he's moving
employee,
up,
But he's moving to a different, he's now becoming a department head.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it, with taking it out, and, it's like,
we're gonna have
people
to
move up in
discuss that.
positions because they're qualified to do so. I don't know that a 90-day grace period is necessary. I mean, that's how I feel about it. I mean,
I
don't
feel
know
like,
anybody
I
else
mean,
feels about it.
in any position like that, I mean, I get it, but you're now getting acclimated to a completely different job. Now you're managing people below you, which you weren't before.
Yeah, sure.
And in my opinion, we're not asking for you're talking 10% for 90 days.
Yeah.
While you get acclimated.
Well,
You know what I mean?
nonetheless,
But
it
that's
is,
gonna-
I
that's
mean, if
gonna
it wasn't a
almost be
big
pay
deal,
cut, though, from what he was making for those 90 days.
For 90 days. And then it will be a paid increase.
Yes, but we're also taking money off the total salary for that.
Whatever you,
Because we,
What do you
we know Frank's experience and
Yeah,
that's
but
what we're
we-
going from 77 to 72. For that, that's why we wanted to
but
take
we
out the
just
word
gave,
lateral.
did we just give
But
Frank
you-
$5,000 in a raise?
He did not get a raise this year.
No.
No.
Last year, did he get a $5,000 raise?
Well, we
I
brought it,
think
we
was
brought it
last-
up to
was- It was a while,
77.
it was maybe 2 years ago when we hired Mark, that position,
I don't know, what are your thoughts, Mr.
But they
Burnside?
took his overtime off him.
yes.
Right,
And the overtime's gonna stay off of that too.
okay.
Yep.
I don't have the problem with the 90s, cause what if he takes a job and then he hates it?
And yeah, it goes back to his other job.
He can't, it's a union position,
Oh,
he
is
doesn't
it?
have to sit for that,
Yeah,
so he's
well.
taking himself out of the union.
yeah, I mean, you look at a promotion, is a promotion in terms of moving up the ladder as, you're improving your pay scale, responsibility, I mean, all of those things. you know, I don't necessarily know that the, you know, taking the 10% away
I just feel like the
for
first 90 days, you're not really running at efficiency, you're still learning the position. That's how I would feel with pretty much any job, you know what I mean? That's,
Every job has a probationary period.
and most probationary periods are 6 months to a year, they're not 90 days, you know what I mean? Again, that's just my thought. There's 7 people here to make a decision.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm
absolutely.
sure he
Yeah,
knows the
yeah.
ropes as it is right now.
I'm sure he does.
You know what I mean?
I'm absolutely
So-
sure he does, but coming from a position to now managing how many people underneath you as a department head, I don't care who you are, that takes a little bit of time to break into.
Yeah.
That's all.
But on the flip side, again, I'm gonna play devil's advocate, on the flip side of this too, we've been aware that Frank was retiring, and Jason's kind of already been training for this position, and then Frank used a bunch of vacation at the end that Jason was in this position. I'm just looking at it because I get it when it's
I'm
something
sure
new
Jason's
off the
very good at
streets.
his job.
I'm saying he's been with us for so many years, he's been in that position, stormwater, right under Frank. That's why we're just asking about the lateral, like, just taking that word out of there. Cause I see, like, if it's somebody coming off the streets, yes, they're completely new, they have to get adjusted to everything, but this is somebody who's been with the city for probably over 20 years. That's all, that's my piece in it. This is.
You guys' thoughts, Mr. Bayes?
I agree. I mean, you know, leave it as it be, because he knows the job.
What happens next time when we get somebody who doesn't know the job?
Well, that's when we put that in there for.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
Can we always just, what word am I looking to use on that? Next time we would have
An internal promotion, I think, is something that is
Maybe we
always
could-
gonna be somebody that knows what they're doing. You know, so it's not,
Well,
No,
if we
it's
have
not
an
always.
if we have something internal within the city, if we could word something like that within the city.
But we
then-
already that's basically in there because it
It is a new position.
it is a new position, yes.
Like if Megan decided to go over to the law office and be the secretary over
She'd
there.
have
Well, I'm just saying
That-
somebody
well,
else
that would
coming
be a
out.
lateral move.
Somebody else coming
That's a
out.
lateral move, yeah,
Right.
not going from
Why not?
being an employee to a department.
Well, I'm just saying, being the secretary going to it, well, she's not a secretary, she's a master clerk.
Different job duties.
And
Okay.
that's kind of the way I think of it, Mike, in the same regard.
All right then.
well, let's look at it from.
Just because it takes time to break in on that
Absolutely.
job.
90 days is that, now if it was 6 months a year, I'd have to, okay, that's a little bit too long. Is 90
Well, I mean,
days-
think about it this way, we just broke it down to 90 days from a year.
Yeah,
Right,
You know what I mean? I feel like that was a good move in the right direction of what you guys initially
Well,
wanted.
not on this one was different, I think. The 90 days is the other, I don't think it was 90 days on his contract. Was it?
No,
Right? Yeah, it's been that way.
yeah, nothing's
Would-
been changed in 90 days
Yeah.
yet.
No, can I see?
Yeah, it's-
that
it's-
one? This is, it speaks
That's
to
the codified.
This is
So
the
you're saying right
codified.
now it still stands as 1 year?
This
Is
is
that
what-
right?
If you look at the legislation,
Well,
here's what the legislation is right now. This is how how it reads in the first year. This is the way they wanna word it to 90 days. Chrissy would like to have, lateral taken out, only because lateral is going from like a secretary to secretary, that's a lateral move. But if you're going from being an employee to a department head, that is not a lateral move.
Cause here's my
Okay,
thing, if he
then
has
the
to
90
take a
days should
10.
She
Fair.
needs
And
more, she needs
Oh,
more
I
to
understand,
decipher
but then
how to
it-
pay people.
But I don't
Then-
understand why it falls under a new hire language when it's not
I
a
don't-
new hire, it's still a city employee.
but it's a totally different job.
But it's also, if you take that, he's gonna make less than he made last year. I don't know if he would take that position then.
That's, I mean, are we gonna handpick everybody that comes to work for us? I mean, they should know what the position entails, what the salary is, and if they want it, then they take it. I mean, we can't adjust make amendments to all of our ordinances just because wants somebody to work here, you know? I mean, rules are rules.
I'm fine with leaving the 90 days.
I mean, that, like you said,
We
it
went
used
from
to be what?
A year.
A year.
No, it used to be,
For new hires.
Yes.
hang on, it used to
Yeah.
be 3 years. You were 90,
It was
80,
85, 90.
Yes,
correct.
it
And
was
we've
3
made
years.
considerable adjustments to
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
over the last few years. I'm fine with leaving it,
I am as well.
Leaving it for 90 or
leaving it for 90.
Yeah, leave it for, I agree too.
I don't think 90 is asking too much. I just don't. I mean,
Yeah.
that's,
I'm good with that.
I am.
well, you're just hanging out, but.
Do you want lateral taken out?
So, I guess my opinion is that if lateral is taken out, then it still stands the same way that it is.
Right. And it's more inclusive to include.
Correct.
Even somebody moving up, yeah.
Correct.
If the word lateral is
I mean, I
taken
just
out.
wanna make sure I'm understanding this right as well.
Yeah.
If lateral is taken out, then it still stands how it is and even makes it so that lateral movement is still under the 90%.
Lateral
all
and,
movement.
and
All movement.
any new position, you know, whether it's moving up in
down.
a position,
Yeah, wherever you're gonna move.
yeah.
I'm fine with it. So we're gonna take out lateral, correct?
then can we hold off on the other ordinance so I can have a discussion with Jason?
Which would be,
The ordinance that speaks to so the new hire stuff is
Okay.
fine to go. The stuff that speaks to.
so this is new hire 90 days. This is also new hire. This is AMVets, that's not it.
It would be Jason's.
This one, this one. Can we hold off on this then?
Sure.
Okay, I wanna just have the
Yeah,
discussion with
yeah.
them, just, okay.
Okay. So that one, but
The new hire.
it's this one. It's this one.
This is the
Okay.
wastewater one, right?
So we are going
Okay,
to take
so-
out lateral.
So we'll take out lateral, so I'll X that,
Correct.
so that's out, and then we're gonna put this to 90 days,
Correct.
correct?
Do you
Okay.
need me to initial it? Do you need me to
You
do
can
anything?
initial it, and then I'll go ahead and make the changes.
Motion to bring it out,
Motion to bring it out.
second?
I'll second it.
Okay, that's one. Now we're in the new hire language, so, an ordinance establishing the position, salaries, correct?
Sorry,
I'm,
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt
you do want me to read this one?
That's the
right?
same, that's just the ordinance, not the codified.
Correct,
Okay,
yeah.
sorry.
But
so-
we would have to
it's
pass,
alright.
we would have to pass this one
First.
before we start doing, yes.
Okay.
Okay,
Sorry.
no problem.
Before we move on, is he aware that this 10% for the 90 days
Employment provisions of the building maintenance person, a non-classified service appointed by the mayor, effective for said employee upon passage, repealing
This is in the past, and this is for contribution like the wreaths, any incidental supplies that they have to pay for, like the wreaths, he already purchased them out of his money. What it used to be where the money went to the VFW. Well, Jim Deal died, John Brown would pay for the wreaths, he never got no money from it. So, at the Fireman Spaghetti dinner, I talked to Mike Perilla. Mike Perilla says, I discussed it with him, he said he was fine with that, he says they have enough people, he's for with everything. So I talked to John Brown Monday, he already purchased the wreath, and he said that Mike Perilla from the VFW approached him for getting help for riflemen, you know, for salute. This is for money that's spent. So if there's a cost effective associated with that, then the VFW would go to the AMVET and say, hey, I need $50 for, you know, whatever. Where it used to be, the AMVET used to go to the VFW. Well, Jim Deal died, there's nobody to do the same thing. So it's just, the roles are reversed.
So you know more about the situation than any of us.
So I'm suggesting that we leave it to the AMVETs. If the VFW needs money to associate with the services that day, then they would approach the AMVETs. Where it used to be, the AMVETs used to approach the VFW. Well, Jim Dill's been gone a couple years now, and he went to Mike Perilla. Mike Perilla don't know nothing.
So communication's been bad.
It's been bad. Well, Jim Dill passed away,
Right.
and it's, so you're just reversing the roles. So if the AMVETs needs any or the VFW needs any money
They
associated
come
with
see
the
the
services, then they go to the AMVETs.
Okay, so we'll just leave it with the MVets then.
Correct.
Everybody good with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
Motion to bring it out.
motion to bring it out.
Second?
Seconded.
Yeah, he already purchased 3 wreaths, one for, the river. I think he purchased one for, Lake Park, and I think he does one, I don't know if he does one up here or not. He told me he purchased 3 wreaths already. He
Okay.
paid for it out of his pocket.
I'll have that flyer too for everybody. We have a location change for the one under the bridge. So
Oh, you
it's
going to
the-
Walton?
No, we're not going to Walton, Bobstein Way, the Bobstein
Oh,
Way
okay.
Bridge, so everybody could park right at the kayak launch,
Gotcha.
so it'll be, and I'll have that for you soon, cause I talked to him today, and that's, the location is gonna change, cause under the bridge there, the last couple of years, it's just not, you're not able to get the wreath in.
So they'll do it from the kayak launch?
So we're gonna do it from the bridge
Bridge,
above the
oh,
kayak launch,
okay.
it's a beautiful
Oh,
setup
okay,
there,
yeah, I
Roddy's gonna
gotcha.
make sure that, it's usually a very quick
So you don't get
ceremony
hung
there,
up in
a-
it's like
in a-
60 seconds, it's not anything long,
That's,
so they're gonna
that's a
block the
nicer place, yeah.
and the
When's the
views are-
date on that?
Monday,
Monday.
Memorial Day.
Memorial Day?
So it'll be 8 o'clock at the Beirut Memorial with the Marine Corps, 9 o'clock, we're gonna change the location to the Bobstein Way Bridge. 10 o'clock at the high school for the main ceremony, and 11 o'clock at Lake Park.
I'll be driving a bus at Lake Park.
We'll be there.
Driving a bus at Lake Park?
Gotta take the band there.
Okay, next one. An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Struthers to enter into a purchase agreement with the city of Canfield to purchase a 2017 Ford F-450 4x4 Type 1 Super Warrior ambulance and declaring an emergency. Motion to bring it out.
Motion to bring it out.
Second?
Second.
That's a really nice ambulance.
Yeah.
I missed the meeting, but I know Mike was really
It was short.
excited about it.
Just a bed alone is 60,000.
Well, the cot alone. It
Yeah,
was a-
that's what I'm
That's
saying,
what he
yeah.
Oh,
said,
the
yeah.
cot, oh, yeah. That's what
Yeah,
we got the
pretty good.
grant for, so we're gonna be able, yeah.
Okay, next one is a resolution authorizing the mayor and safety service director of the city of Struthers to consent to the director of transport ODOT to complete, is this Mahoning Trumbull?
Yes.
Mahoning Trumbull's, Sign Fi 2026, PID 112198 project and declaring an emergency. Mary, you wanna speak?
Yes, this is a quick one, this is from the county, they need it passed, they're gonna put some signage on 289 and 616, and there's a deadline on it, so they wanted it 2 weeks prior to the July 16th date, but it's nothing that we're on the hook for, it's one of their projects, they just need this for ODOT, so something
They just need the
simple.
city starters consent.
Yes.
Motion to bring it up.
Motion to bring it out.
Second?
Second.
Okay. Next one, an ordinance creating the position of non-classified seasonal part-time street laborers, setting hours and wages for said position, repealing ordinance number 25-048, and any ordinance inconsistent herewith, and declaring an emergency. Motion to bring it out.
Motion to bring it out.
Second.
Second.
Okay, next one. A resolution establishing the amount administrative fines for housing code violations under chapter 1309 of the city's codified ordinance and declaring an emergency. It was my understanding that the first violation was to go to 250, correct?
Yes.
It's listed as 200 on here. Can we just mark this as 250 and I'll initial it and we could still bring it out?
Yeah.
Cause that's the only one I see that, everything else is the second
Yeah, 'cause
violation
we
is
were
500, the
double,
other one's
double.
1,000, is that
Oh,
okay?
yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'll just fix it.
And we are meeting with, John tomorrow at 3 o'clock with Billy to go over this and a couple of the other ordinance to see how procedurally he wants us to handle it.
Okay.
So, just so you know, we have a meeting tomorrow at 3 with
All
John.
good. Motion bring it out?
Motion to bring it out.
Second. Okay. Next one, an ordinance amending 1309.06 and of the codified ordinance of the city of Struthers, Ohio, to provide that an appeal of the administrative citation shall be brought before the Board of Building Appeals and declaring an emergency.
That's just changing the appeals to go from city council to the board of building. or
Okay,
the
they shouldn't
building.
be on us.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right, that's.
Motion to bring it out.
Motion to bring it out.
Second.
Alright, an ordinance amending 1309.01 of the codified ordinance of the city of Struthers, Ohio, to provide that the amount of administrative fines for housing code violations shall be for an amount set from the time to time by resolution of council and declaring an emergency. This was also from John. Let's read what's in here. I basically see that this is just basically the time set for the housing violations. So I think this is what we talked about last time.
Like,
Take a look.
it increases the more, each time you do it.
Correct.
I thought we were gonna just fine them and that was it, no more.
I thought we were going 250, 500, cause I
And
think
then 1,000,
and
and
then
then after
1,000.
that, there's. it's
at
1,000.
some point, I think that we need to explore doing them administrative fines and
Oh, right,
criminal
right,
fines,
okay.
that we
Yeah,
can
that's-
run concurrent, you can do both. And if somebody is that habitual of an offender, then, you know, maybe the administrative fines aren't working, maybe we need to go to a separate type of punishment to make this
Right.
work.
Yeah,
Jail and whatnot.
And I talked to John a little bit about that,
Motion.
and there was a question that come up,
Second.
Second.
how many times you can cite someone? You know, so if you cite, Mike Patrick for high grass at 96 Elm Street on Monday, he goes to court Wednesday, pays a fine, he's all right, he gives him 7 days. That
Goal
would be up to the administration to determine,
The goal here again is to make sure the grasses get cut.
Right.
and plus
We-
other,
But we just feel
Yeah.
like it's.
We fine for grass cutting. The
Okay.
grass cutting we fine twice a year, so the first 6 months and the last 6 months, so we do fine in that way, but not administratively.
Let
we
me just say
haven't.
this, that you might, I get it that we do it every 6 months, But if before we cut it, before we appropriate that to the county, if they sell the home, it's void. We cut that grass for free.
Well,
So
normally when the house sells though, they call us to see if there's any liens on the property and then we're able to tell them.
at that point, but if things get sold prior to us recording that with the county, we don't get funding for it. We don't get money back, you know what I mean? And a lot of closing companies, when they run a title search, aren't gonna check with you guys to see if there's been liens put on, because those liens don't really, from my understanding, those liens don't really count until they're recorded with the county. That's my understanding, so I get it might be monotonous to do it every 3 months instead of every 6, but we also might be getting into a situation where we've cut these, and if they haven't been appropriated and recorded to the county, that's the way I understand it. I could be wrong.
If there was anything, then it was the title company's fault for not checking with us, cause we get calls all the time from title companies, are there
Do
any
you?
leaks?
Okay.
All the time.
Cause I know, like, when I deal with title companies, most of them aren't gonna call for sewage bill, utilities, and I've bought ones that have had a $2,000 sewage bill that I got stuck with, you know what I mean? But I know that they only do things, they're only calling certain places to see where liens have
I
been.
do know we get a lot of phone calls about those,
Okay.
to see if there's anything, but we can always talk to the county about doing it
Yeah,
every 3 months. I don't know if
that
that's
was-
just how they do it, and
Maybe.
they require us to do it every 6 months, or if
Maybe.
it's something we can do every 3 months. We
Sure.
have the list, so it's
I
not
would
a
say,
big deal.
you know what, listen, even if you did it every 3 months only in the summer, there's
Yeah.
no real reason to do it. You're not cutting grass in the winter, so you're not really appropriating anything to those, you know what I mean? So
But
just
we can
maybe
talk-
in
I
your,
don't know if that's
maybe in your
their
busy
thing or if
months.
that's ours, so we can ask them too.
Okay, alright, next one. An ordinance implementing 3735.65 through 3735.70 of the Ohio Revised Code establishing and describing the boundaries of a community reinvestment area in the city of Struthers, designating a housing officer to administrate the program, and creating community reinvestment housing council and tax incentive review council, I'm sorry.
So this is something we briefly talked about, which is the 15-year abatement for any new build residential. This is something we talked to
Same
John
as
about.
Columbiana.
Exactly what Columbiana did. We actually got a lot of the language from Columbiana, and this is something all of the housing meetings I've been going to with the county, the studies that they have with Eastgate, the number one thing they're telling people to do is the CRA.
It's important.
It
I would
is.
agree with that. Motion to bring it up.
Motion to bring it up?
Second?
Second.
That's gonna go 3 readings?
I don't know that we have time to do 3 readings, because we have to apply, we have to send the application to the
Before I get
states.
everybody to send, can I,
Can you just go ahead and put and declaring an emergency?
Yes.
Because that's why I put the yes or no by the
Okay.
emergency, I didn't know whether or not you guys want it.
Only because when we talked to the guy from YSU that did the CRA and Ian Benison from YNDC, the application is due at a certain time and we wanna try to get that in sooner than later, because then that gives us a leg up with the rest of the communities.
Okay.
anything else for this council?
Yeah, I got something.
Go ahead.
The old flower shop that used to be on 616 and 5th Street.
Mhm.
That resorted back to residential, correct? Cause that was a spot,
I don't. Yes, it did,
Yes,
it
okay.
did go back, I'm sorry, because we had so many phone calls about
Right,
that, cause they
right.
wanted, yes.
well, the lady that lives there now has signs up for, a store, basically a shop.
Yes,
What are we doing about that?
out of her home, I think she did,
Aren't,
maybe it stayed, whatever she's doing is how she's allowed to do it, so maybe it did stay.
she's allowed to have the signs that big? I thought we had a limitation.
Oh, the signs, I didn't see the
Yeah,
signs.
the signs are pretty big, they're like 3 by 6, and she's got 2 of them like this
Let me
at
check
the
them, and I can
point
talk to
there.
her, she comes in
Well,
here
I
all
came
the
in
time.
and they were supposed to talk to, Billy about it, to go check it out. but I
Are
haven't
they,
heard anything.
too close to the road where they're hindering view?
Well, you know, I know there's, we have legislation where you can have like a beauty shop and stuff like that, but you can't have, you can only have a certain size sign.
Let me check into that, I'm sure, if you already told Billy about it, I'm sure he's already talked
Well,
about
he
it.
wasn't here, the secretary was
Okay.
gonna, I took a picture, I got a picture of it if you wanna see it.
And I could even go knock on her, she's here all the time, she's a very sweet woman and
I was
she's-
gonna say, to be honest, those people did clean the place up,
Oh,
They did.
and
they
they
are
did a lot of
outside
work to
all
it,
the
I
time.
mean,
But the people that live around there
Are
think she's
complaining.
opening up a store.
Okay.
I mean, and it's a
It
residential
specified,
area.
But she said something,
I went,
I missed it.
I
there
thought,
was something screwy with that.
well, I thought
There
it
was-
was a,
Didn't we have
it was
Frank
a
Clinton looking at
commercial
that a long
area,
time
and
ago?
if it was empty for a year, it
He had it for
resorted back to
Yeah, but
residential.
there
There's
was something
something
in
with
there,
that.
if it only occupies so much space of your, like a beauty
There's
shop or
something
whatever.
different
See,
about,
there's the signs.
oh, see, I didn't see that.
15,
They're pretty
16
big.
by the EP station. The old
I
flower
thought we did, I thought we had Frank Clinton looking at that.
to be honest with you, I thought it was still commercial.
It's on.
Years
So
ago.
this,
Because there was a plumbing
it's
shop
kind of
up.
like
It's
Avon.
not.
I thought it was sold
right
as
at the
commercial.
stop sign by the EP
I
station.
don't know that it's a
Maybe.
store,
Could
I
be
think
wrong.
it's
You know
like
what
an
flower
Avon
shop
thing,
used to be?
because she came here to give samples to.
Where you been, Laura?
Timothy, like a,
But,
but I will, but the sign
I mean, that's
regulations,
fine, I mean, I don't care, but I think
yes,
that's kind of godly,
I thought she
gaudy
said at the
looking.
bridge
You know
down
what
there.
I'm
For that
saying?
area.
Yeah,
But I'm
I mean,
not positive.
we could check into whatever the sign sizage is,
On a
I
stop
can tell
sign,
you
know what I mean?
Right at the stop sign.
but I thought that
Used to be a
stayed
flower shop.
commercial, to be honest.
There was-
Some people
I-
bought the house.
Well, it was the
Well, I know
same
there's a
thing
house
with the
right there.
Struthers Mini
I
Mart.
do
When it was
remember-
empty for over a year, it
But
goes back to
didn't-
residential.
Didn't the flower shop go to the zoning board? Or-
But it was a spot zoning thing,
okay,
you know, where it resorted back to residential if it was empty for more than a year.
correct, correct.
So, and
But
that was
I
definitely,
thought prior to the people purchasing it, I thought it went to the zoning and it was kept or kept commercial. I could be completely
I
I'll
wrong.
don't
get you an
But
answer,
it-
I don't
but
talk to her.
I know that it was maybe the only reason I'm thinking that is, I thought it was advertised as commercial when it was sold.
I think that was the problem with it, cause we had so many realtors calling and saying, There was
There
something-
was
but
something
we
with it,
also,
but it,
we also denied some realtors that wanted to keep it commercial because we said it was residential. So where do we stand?
I don't remember
I forget.
I don't remember the specifics.
call
I really
Frank.
don't. But I do remember there being a little bit of hubbub about it.
Yes,
I can't remember either way what was actually determined.
Me either, I forget.
Mr. Patrick?
I don't know if these folks follow the library much.
oh, that's
Oh.
another thing I wanted to bring, so that
Alright,
kind of
well,
washes ours out.
Here's my
So-
idea,
I know,
but anyway, they are looking to build a new Poland library.
Seen that?
we are gonna
That,
throw a fit.
yeah, I'm
Huh?
upset
We are
about
going
that.
to throw a fit. We already did a feasibility study downtown, we did all that, we've been working with the
Thank you.
board for years,
Thank you.
Mike, for years.
so now, this Poland library is roughly 20 years old. And now they're looking to build a new one. There was talk years ago where they wanted to build a brand new library at the entrance into Yellow Creek Park.
Right,
Where does that fit in? But they wanna go to Poland and build a replace one that's only 20 years old.
You're 100%
Yeah.
right.
So,
We own the property down there?
So both owners, Yellow Creek Properties, Mr. Sanchez and Mr. Rossi are willing to donate that property to for the purpose of a library.
Library.
We have a whole feasibility study that we did with them a few years ago. I know there was funding questions and they have applied for a bunch of different things, but in no way should that take precedence over what we have had going here for the last couple years.
I agree.
Right.
That is, and I know Chrissy
okay,
has
so
posted something on
you
Facebook.
know what I'm leading up
Oh,
to
we're good.
here.
I
Didn't they
would like
just
to throw a
sink more money
fit,
into
but
it?
before
So-
we do anything, I wanna talk to Amy and see
I
don't
where
know.
we're
Well,
at.
why don't we get Amy to come to one of our committee meetings?
I can definitely ask her too.
What does council think about that?
That's fine with us.
Because there, she is put, I'm gonna use the word petition the state to stabilize the funding for library, I guess, I don't know if that's the right
Well,
word.
they're trying to pool, so with the administration, they're trying to pool millions and millions of dollars from the library and
Okay.
cut their funds. So, I'm the same as you, I think I hope we don't get kicked to the curb for this one. That's
Well,
what I'm-
why don't we get her, come to a committee meeting
Okay.
before we go into, well, if we can't.
I can ask
go-
her, I can definitely ask her.
Before we go into recess,
Yeah.
because chapped my hide when I see that they were working with Poland to replace the library. It's only 20 years old.
Yes.
Ours was built, what, in late
It was in
50s, early
1800s.
60s?
Yeah.
And only because,
We looked
from
it
what I
up, it was like
understand, they threw like a
1800
hissy fit
something.
about some
Right.
of the decorations.
Serious.
Right.
That's what I'm getting from
And it
it.
was
So,
renovated.
And they are trying to secure funding, okay, and that's fine, but to replace the library, it's 20 years old.
But we should be the
Should see if we can get their
priority
old
in this.
one.
Yeah.
If you could
Bring
move
it,
that
bring
one
it on
over
over
here.
to Struthers.
We'll be happy to
we'll
take the
it.
old one.
Absolutely.
No, I
in their
just-
coffee shop and.
I just hope
Yeah.
that, like the mayor says, we don't get kicked to the curb.
I agree.
And,
Oh,
yeah.
and they'll be
Listen,
out
we
the
got a new
library
fire
for 2
station, a new
years.
library would
Like
be
two
great.
and a half years.
Really would.
But we've been working on this
Yes,
project for years.
long time.
Absolutely.
This was something Chrissy had the idea of this. I mean, probably before I was even in office, so 2019, and we would always, every time we drive by, well, that's where the library's gonna go, that's, and you try to talk things into existence. She's been saying this forever, and then one day she was like, Kat, just call Amy. We sat down, and then everything, we just need to talk to Amy.
We
But-
need, what I would
Let's
like
talk to
to
Amy.
see,
Yeah.
what I'd like to see, Mayor, and council, if you don't mind, is get her at a committee meeting, sit at this table,
And
and
hear
let's
us out.
discuss all this in open, not in
Sure.
front of everybody, so we're on the same page,
Yep.
and get an explanation for why the so-called Poland Library would set precedence over Struthers.
I agree.
I agree.
I agree.
They had their day,
They had their day.
and they did it
Well,
wrong
and-
right
We are
from the
the oldest
get-go.
library
Absolutely.
in their catalog right
And,
now.
I mean,
We're
let's
the
be
oldest.
realistic, we're very similar as far as population size.
Right,
It's not like they got 50,000 people that
Right.
they need this library. I mean, they're
Right.
pretty much the same size. Like,
so, right, so,
And 20 years older.
I don't even wanna get, I could get
I want the old
personal, and I'm really trying hard to,
Wasn't
Yeah,
their
Be
excuse that we didn't have
professional.
enough, clientele basically from?
that's because we got an old
No.
crappy library.
Because a lot of people go to the Poland library instead of going to the Struthers library
Yes.
from
No,
Struthers.
so
because
that's,
they sell cookies there.
They got a coffee
Right.
shop in there.
Donuts.
Absolutely.
but we've actually picked up, so one of the things when I met with Amy a while ago was we need to increase the numbers, so we can
Sure.
show that there's the hard hats have held meetings there, we've had garden club meetings there, I've been trying to bring my kids in and out all the time, we've
Well, if we had half the
definitely-
programs that the Poland Library had,
Absolutely,
we would be able to fill that place up.
absolutely.
Agree.
Let's
'Cause
get
a
it
lot
down
of
here.
older people go down there to use a computer and learn how to
Well,
use
and
it.
think about how much business we get in places like Mothy for party rentals. Imagine if we had a place that was triple the size.
Hey,
You would
Dallas,
get a ton of party rentals the same way they get in Poland. I mean,
Yeah.
Well,
rent
we
that
have,
rent
we
that out
have,
for a
we
million.
have the rendition, we have I mean, we met with them and did, okay, this is where this room is gonna go, like the whole thing is already there.
Yeah.
How about
They were
that?
just they were sending it to, and we've had a great relationship with Amy, we show up
sounds like it's
to-
gonna,
Come on, Amy.
I know,
You
so
need to pull
let me
through
just,
for us.
before we, let me
how
call
about
her and see if I can-
advertising these programs, because there's probably people don't know that they're afforded these programs, or to rent the meeting room, or whatever. How about advertising stuff so they know?
Yeah.
I never hear any advertisement that the Struthers Library offers all these programs or meeting rooms or nothing.
Well, we share their posts on social media to when
Okay,
they
but,
post
alright,
their,
you get a different group that's maybe not so
Yeah.
political.
Listen, if we can get something like they got over there, we'll be in good shape. I mean, there's a million uses for it, and a million people would rent it. They really would.
well, and
Let's
from what
get
we
her
were
down here.
looking at is more of like, this would be like the nature, because of the park and
Sure.
everything, it would be more of like a nature niche.
Put a lot of books about nature in there.
Yeah.
Well, there's different, you should
Well,
hear
they
this
could do
one.
little trips
should
into
hear
the
it.
park
100%.
as
You
There's a
should
well.
hear
million things
Chrissy
to do.
talk about when it comes to the library, the different ideas she, like with book bags and different, like,
Set her loose on it.
I just gotta make sure Chrissy can be at the meeting with Amy, cause
Yeah.
she brings the passion to this.
So, I just hope this don't get pushed by the wayside, let's see
I
if
will
we
call
get her down
tomorrow.
here,
Yep,
down here for a committee meeting and
Yep.
be in the same room and,
Sounds
Yeah,
good.
I'd rather see the 20 million built in ours than theirs,
Me too.
ours,
Yeah.
the total wasn't even 20
I
million,
know.
so.
I know.
yeah, let's
I
get
mean,
her
I
down
think
here.
we could come in a lot lower than 20 million.
Right now. Couple floors.
Alright, anybody, anything for this committee? Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second there.
Meeting adjourned.